First up on Sunday at home, the Sportsgrounds against Stade Francais. Stade Francais definitely aren't the side they used to be. Matt, sure they're not. And Andy Friend will want to pick up a win to start the competition, won't he?
Yeah, the Stade Francais of the past, that was, really the glam club of France when Max Gazan was the owner there, or the president. Those days are long gone. I believe my view of Stade Francais is that they haven't quite realised that yet. They still think they're superstars. They just don't win any games to back it up anymore, or don't win many. And I know going to the show, to the sports ground on a very cold, wintry weekend with that wind whipping in off the Atlantic with the beautiful view of the cemetery overlooking the ground is not something that the Parisians relish. And it's something that Andy Friend will be just rubbing his hands with glee. I think Connacht can come away with a famous scalp there. I watched a little bit of I didn't watch the whole game. I watched a bit of the Stade Francais game on the weekend, and they were ordinary. They've got some good individuals. It's a top 14 team in France, so they're not fools. But this is not a great side playing rugby like Toulouse are playing. And the other part with the French, as Alan was pointing out, it's about the attitude they bring. And clubs like Toulouse and Clermont and La Rochelle, because Ronan's there, they have an attitude towards Europe that is like the Irish clubs. They believe in Europe, they believe in the concept, they think it's important, and they want to go for it. Now, in the old days, Stade Francais had that attitude when they were up there and thereabouts 20 years ago, 15 years ago. That's not there anymore. Their focus is totally top 14, survival in top 14, not to get relegated, and at best to make a playoff. So I'm not so sure they're going to come with the killer attitude required to win in Europe that you need. Wherever you go away from home, you need a killer attitude. I'm not so sure they'll bring that. And if they don't, Connacht at home have been playing some really positive rugby. They had a bit of a shaky start. Away from home, their defence has been poor. I'm going to use that term. I have to say it. They've conceded a lot of points. They've scored some really good points, but away from home, they've let in far too many. And it's something that Andy Friend needs to really focus on. I'm sure he doesn't need me to tell him that. But I think this week they got a good shot, a very, very good shot. And I actually think they can pull off the win.
Yeah, Alan, Connacht have never made the knockout stages of the Champions Cup. They have Stade and Leicester in their pool. Do you think they are good enough this season, Alan, or do you still think they'll come up short?
I think that it's a really difficult group of matches for them. I think they will beat Stade. I think I watched most of that Stade game last week, and they have some, really athletic, physical players, and I think some dangerous players who can really cut you open if you give them time and space. But I just think Connacht, they've increased their resilience. I think when they're on the front foot, they're a brilliant side to watch. And they'll know, Andy Friend knows this, they've got to win. They've got to win this game because they've back-to-back games with Leicester, which I think is going to decide whether Connacht get out of this group, because I think the following week they're away in Leicester, and I think not alone will Leinster be favourites, but they can beat you up and batter you as well, and kind of damage you mentally. And I think I'm not saying that I think Leicester are going to just run away with that game the week after, because I think Connacht, there's just something about their confidence, the way they play and the belief. But I think there's still issues about them physically and having a real physical presence. And I think if teams, and Leinster probably showed that last weekend in the game, where they totally overpowered them and made them look ordinary at times in that second half. Andy Friend spoke about maybe the mental side of it, that they got a little bit ahead of themselves. But I think they've got to just focus on this one game, this Stade game, get a win, get some confidence and momentum going, They're going to be a big side, Stade, but they're a side, I think, that, as Matt said, their focus will be probably far more on the top 14. That's not to say that they'll come and try and win. If you allow them play, they can really hurt you no matter where the game is on. But I'd fancy Connacht to do that. And then it's the back-to-back games with Leicester will really kind of decide whether, you know, Connacht get out of the group and make that round 16 and get into the knockout stages. I think they're good enough. It'll be a brilliant achievement for them. I think it's probably more important that they get into Europe next year through the domestic league, which is going to be difficult and tricky with that for them as well. They're good enough to be there, and let's hope they can grow here and show some brilliant performances. And that has to start with a win against Stade. And you never know. They go to Welford Road the following week. It's really hard and daunting task to do that because of the history of Leicester and the way they've won 9 out of 9 in the Gallagher Premiership. And the problem when you play Leicester is they're very, very strong defensively. And Matt spoke about the contrast between number 1 and the team at the bottom of the table, which is Bath. The amount of tries they're conceding, points they're conceding. Leicester have conceded the fewest amount of tries, and it shows with them being top. So they're very, very strong defensively. It's hard to break them down. And that's going to be the challenge for Leicester, for Connacht. But look, we're going ahead to next week, and I shouldn't be doing that. I think it's about starting well at home. And if they play the way with the pace and tempo that we know Connacht can bring, I think they can start this competition off with a really positive result against Stade on Sunday.